Art in Quarantine is an exhibit about how we kept our creative brains engaged during a worldwide pandemic. The idea for this exhibit actually came from a sort of internet sensation, a social media sensation that began around April of this year when 4 museums around the world challenged their audiences to participate in art even though they were all on lockdown. This came from the Getty Museum in Los Angeles, the Met Museum in New York, the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam, and the Hermitage in St. Petersburg, Russia. What came out of this was the hashtag Between Art and Quarantine, in which people were encouraged to recreate famous works of art with whatever they had in their homes while they were in quarantine. The results were funny, they were poignant, they were sentimental, and so we really wanted to kind of play off of that, continue that dialogue that the museum started in our own way here in Norman. So what we have in the space is 4 artists. They're actually all part of the Norman Arts Council family. We have our Associate Director, Joshua Boydston, is included, along with 4 board members, Siobhan Williams, Brad Andrew Stevens, and Cody Giles. So what we did is we noticed that these creatives in Norman that really kind of help keep the Norman Arts Council going and are the arts leaders in the community, they were doing their own Between Art and Quarantine experiments during this time. And so we thought it would be fun to showcase that. It was interesting when we started this exhibit, and I first talked to Cody Giles about the exhibit.
Hi, I'm Cody Giles. I'm standing here in MAINSITE.
I asked him, I was like, I don't know, what do you think? In November of 2020, are we just gonna be over this? Are we gonna be done talking about this? And he was like, no, I don't know. I think it might still be relevant in some ways. We had no idea that we would still be dealing with the pandemic at this time. So Cody was really the first artist that I approached because he was doing a really great community project called Pandemic Family Portraits.
It kind of started with me just going absolute stir crazy at my apartment because before the pandemic, I was never home. There was always somewhere for me to be. There was always an event, always a fundraiser or gala or festival or something. Norman is just, that's what makes Norman Norman, or the events, the community gatherings. And so once those stopped, it kind of put me at a really full stop. So I started to go kind of stir crazy, and then I saw that someone had done it with their own family, and I was like, oh, that would be really cool if someone facilitated it. And it was like, hey, dummy, you do it. And so I was like, okay, cool. So I created a Google form for people to just sign up for a date, a time, and then put their location on it. And I figured I would get 20 to 30. And what's represented in this show is 187 families of Norman. And they're from all walks of life. They're all different kinds of people, and I've come to know some of them really, really well. And some of them I met on this shoot. And so it was really a lot of fun. I think it spans over about a month. And I got to see just about every inch of Norman, which land-wise is massive. So yeah, I really enjoyed doing it, seeing the community and seeing people get excited about me coming by and taking photos of their families while we were all in this just kind of group panic of pandemic. One of the sections of this exhibit, which is a redesigned or more of an homage paid to local businesses and their logos and their branding and just their looks. It kind of came about when the pandemic really started to take hold and it was looking like it was really going to affect local businesses pretty hard financially, and to be fair, it still is. And so that's why this is still really relevant to the time of what's going on right now. So for every logo that I made, I looked on their website, I looked on their social media, because I really wanted each design to not redesign or try and rethink what they're doing, but just like I said earlier, to pay homage to them. These will be on sale for the show. They'll be $300 a piece. But the most important part to me is that every dollar spent on each logo will go back to that business that's represented by that logo.
Then I started noticing what Brad Andrew Stevens was doing.
Hi, my name is Brad Stevens.
And Brad, who is known primarily as an abstract painter and is also the chief preparator at the Fred Jones Jr. Museum of Art, started creating these pet portraits. This came out of his own personal interest to have one of these pet portraits of his own pet.
And so what we decided to do is we were going to order some of order some for the house, and we decided I'll just go ahead and make them. So it kind of became a process for me to work with photographs of my animals and started trying to create pet portraits. And as I started putting them online, it kind of spiraled into something new. And so I created a bunch of new pet portraits for friends and family. So today you'll see 8 works of a group of about 60 that I did over about a 4-month span. And within that quarantine, this part of the quarantine for me was to try to just forget it. I tried to have a good time. And then the second part of that was, as we were still in quarantine, I started working on a second body of work. So you're actually going to see 2 bodies of work today, the pet portraits and then these digital collage works that I've been working on as well that talk more about the pandemic, but also being in quarantine during the pandemic, but also the social injustice stuff that was happening over the summer as well.
And then Siobhan Williams, who is one of our most well-known photographers in the state of Oklahoma.
Hello everybody, my name is Siobhan Williams.
Really known for kind of high fashion photography, shoots for a lot of fashion magazines. She came up with the idea to do high fashion mask portraits. And so these, I think, kind of came out of the idea that masks, unfortunately, have become a political issue, a contested issue in our country, sometimes being a symbol of repression and sometimes being a symbol of solidarity at the same time. And so I think Siobhan is really playing on that with her portraits of models, highly stylized, wearing masks and really beautiful fashion shoots.
I consider myself a craftsman and an artist in that I like a creative process that involves a team. I'm usually creating with someone. Whether it's a portrait or a fashion editorial, I have a team of people that help me create a vision, and I'm usually the art director. My stylist, Elizabeth Wheat, amazing. She sewed all the masks and she helped everyone, brought their wardrobe, but she's really the one who put it together and made it shine with my backgrounds. We had 2 makeup artists. One is Sharon Tabb, and then the lion's share is Alex Ford, both incredible nationally known makeup artists. So I was working with some pretty talented people. I know how to get a team together to make me look good. So when we had the quarantine and everything was locked down, I didn't have anyone to create with, and I had to find my own outlet. I started with simply doing iPhone images of flowers, because who doesn't like to take a picture of a flower? It was a nice way to create by myself and create something beautiful. Luckily it was springtime, and that evolved also into a situation where I started thinking about the florals. I'm very interested in mixing patterns in my photography and especially in my freelance fashion work. So once the quarantine was over, I decided to put together a really quick photo shoot. It was just 2 shoots where I combined pattern and color and floral to create images that featured local people, Norman and metro area, regular, real people, to communicate a story about masking, because I thought from the beginning that masking was going to be very important. I have a business of my own, and I was forced to close down, and I feel the way, even now, the way forward, where we can open our businesses, get the pandemic under control, and get back to normal as quickly as possible is going to be the mask. So how do I do that in an artistic way? I create a team, I get a stylist and a makeup artist. It was very early on, so we were all masked. Luckily, my business is a situation that's fairly easy to social distance, and got the people together, got friends and family, and created these images.
So Joshua Boydston,
I'm Joshua Boydston,
who is our Associate Director here at the Norman Arts Council and also does all of our graphic design, and I think has become one of the more recognized graphic designers in Central Oklahoma, focused on the items of our culture that kind of gripped us during the pandemic.
So I kind of had this exercise for about a month where every day I'd make a new illustration inspired by a movie that I watched. It became this really easy thing to kind of take in a lot of inspiration really fast and then kind of interpret it through this lens that I was trying to create for myself. You know, and then as far as kind of this exhibit and how that relates into it, you know, I think a lot of us have spent a lot of time inside, a lot of time on the couch, you know, and, you know, with not having near the amount of new movies coming out, it's been kind of revisiting a lot of old ones. So kind of getting into May and beyond, it became a kind of stabilizing force and something that I really looked forward to doing and kind of helping me, you know, interpret the moment a little bit. Not, you know, kind of a form of journaling almost to, you know, kind of take what was going on, be it the protest in you know, late May and June into July and really beyond. Create based off of that. It's just something as surreal as the, you know, murder hornet coming in the middle of all this, and, you know, the kind of weirdo, you know, Tiger King, you know, kind of moment we all shared at the beginning of this. You know, it was fun to kind of, you know, investigate those kind of ideas and emotions and feelings and put them into art and kind of, you know, hope that people could kind of share in that experience with me a little bit and kind of create, you know, that kind of communal experience.
This part of the Between Art and Quarantine exhibit actually focuses on Norman's sister cities around the world. We have 4 sister cities, and this is part of an ongoing collaboration that we here at the Norman Arts Council have with the sister cities called Cultural Connections. We periodically do artistic exchanges with the cities, and obviously when we can't travel to see our friends in our sister cities, we wanted to be able to include them in this exhibit because this is a worldwide pandemic. And we thought it would be very interesting to get glimpses of how our sister cities and their communities are handling the pandemic. So we have actually 3 of our sister cities who've participated. Behind me are images of Colima, Mexico. And then we also have images from Arezzo, Italy, and Seika, Japan. So I did just want to highlight a piece in this exhibit from our sister city of Arezzo. Arezzo is a really special sister city relationship for Norman. The University of Oklahoma has a fairly large campus there, and so a lot of students travel to Arezzo during the regular school year. And like everything else, that has been disrupted due to COVID-19 as well. But I wanted to point out this one particular photograph, which is of a billboard on the side of the road as you enter into Arezzo. And it says, Arezzo non molla, which means Arezzo does not give up. And I thought that that was a really poignant reminder to the community and for them to share with us. So like the original Between Art and Quarantine movement, I think that you'll find when you come and explore our exhibit here at MAINSITE that you will see moments of humor and you will see moments of poignancy, and we really hope that you see moments of community building as well. So if you would like to see more of Between Art and Quarantine, see the entire exhibit, MAINSITE is open to the public beginning November 18th. We will be open Wednesdays through Saturdays from 10 to 4, and this exhibit will be up through December 18th.